Hi guys, I'm talking to Shaune Harrison today. Shaune started in the industry over 30 years ago. He's started on Clive Barkers Nightbreed. He moved up the ladder to be a key prosthetic artist in films like the Harry Potter franchise, Marvel productions like Age of Ultron, Captain America, as well as beloved series like Game of Thrones, just to name a few there for you. In 2014, he opened up his Prosthetics Teaching Academy to help the next generation of artists to learn prosthetics for the film industry. And so he's going to give his advice on what to expect going into the industry, talk about his few favorite projects and his experience as well. So thank you for joining us. And so do you want to just tell us a little bit about what inspired you to get into prosthetics?
I've been doing this type of thing since I was a kid, to be honest. So from the age of 11, 12, 13, it was people like Ray Harryhausen who did the Sinbad films in the 60s, all the stop motion. And then later on, people like Rick Baker, who did American Werewolf, won the Oscar in 1981. So really from then onwards, and then I just got obsessed with wanting to make monsters. But it took about 6 years of working in my bedroom before I kind of got my first job in the film industry.
Yeah. So what was your first job?
It was a film called Nightbreed, Clive Barker. It's become a bit of a cult classic. We made so many creatures. I worked for a company called Image Animation at Pinewood Studios. I was 20 years old. This was back in 1988. And I was a trainee and ended up kind of going on set. And, you know, the whole thing about the company was they would throw you in the deep end, which was great, scary, but great. And it was a bit of a crazy movie, just monsters everywhere, but a brilliant film to work on.
Brilliant. And so when it comes to, because you've done quite a few films when it comes to mainstream production, like Game of Thrones, Star Wars, stuff like that, but do you prefer indie to mainstream, or is there kind of like a balance there for you?
Yeah, it's a balance. If you work on indie films, usually because the budgets are so tight, what you end up making gets shown on camera. If you do the big mainstream films, a lot of times they won't get shown, and you can do lots and lots of test after test. I mean, the positives and negatives are positives working on a bigger film is more time, more money. But at the same time, you can go and work on an indie film and kind of get a bit more creative control, you know, if you're doing creatures. So there's positives and negatives to both sides of it, really, to be honest. But at the end of the day, it comes down to the enjoyment for me now. You know, it could be a £1 million film or a £200 million film. They both have positive and negatives to them.
Yeah. So what's been your what would you say was one of the most challenging projects, that you've done?
I mean, it's when you work on something that everyone knows about. So say either a Harry Potter film, I worked on Mad Eye Moody. It was trying to please everybody. You know, there's designers involved. I had a boss called Nick Dudman, so you work with him. You then have to make sure that everyone in Warner's are happy, the producers are happy. And it's kind of make sure that the audience are going to like the character, because basically from book to screen, everyone has an idea what the character should look like. And that's the scary thing, is making sure that everyone goes, yeah, I love that's exactly what Mad Eye was, or vice versa, or, you know, that people didn't like it at the time. But it's all down to, you know, make sure that the actors enjoying it as well. So there's that one, and I'd say Captain America, First Avenger. I worked with David White doing Red Skull. So again, another one of those iconic characters where everyone has to be pleased. That's the hardest thing, is pleasing everybody.
Well, and everyone has, like you were saying, their own idea in mind. So the director's going to have an idea in mind, you're going to have an idea, and then maybe the producer. So it is a lot of people putting this creative image together, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, it's also the fact that the finances have to like it. You know, if it's a book, the author has to like it. So there's a whole load of people who have to say yes before, you know, they may not pick the one they want happiest with, but it all comes down to time as well. And also, you know, you have a shooting day at the end of the day, you have a shooting time. So you have to make sure that you've got enough time for day one of shooting as well. So at some point, it's got to be a decision made.
Yeah. early days, isn't it? Especially for you guys, it's not just regular makeup, like, okay, make sure they have just a bit of powder. It's your application process, making sure things work properly. And
Yeah, you're up at 4 o'clock in the morning sometimes for months on end, so that's always an issue, the hours, but it's always going to have a finish date. So that's how I see it. It's never going to go on forever, so it's long hours for, could be 2 months or 6 months or 12 months, but it's going to finish at some point.
yeah. So as a teacher yourself, what's something you believe that people should know going into the industry, whether it's in front of the camera or behind the camera? It's one of those things where anyone coming into it, they might have this this mindset or this idea of what things are, but until you've actually been on set, it's kind of hard to explain.
Yeah, I mean, I was working in the industry for 30 years before I then got into teaching, so I kind of tell the students a reality of how to get into the industry. It's kind of be unique, kind of be original, not following, there is a whole thing between filmmakers who want to get into film industry and YouTubers who want the likes and all that stuff, which I completely get that. But you've got to understand there's going to be lots of rejection. You're not going to make everyone happy what you do. It's hard work. Everybody wants a job. You could have 1,000 students going up for 10 jobs. So you've got to stand out from the crowd. That's the main thing. Is kind of, if you're going to copy from people, I always say to my students, don't copy from other YouTubers, copy from the greatest artists that ever lived. The Rick Bakers, Dick Smiths, Stan Winstons, people who inspired me. And it's not rocket science. You follow what they've done. If you can get up to their standard, you could get a job. But don't follow the crowd, if you know what I mean. Stand out from everybody else. That's the most important thing, and understand it's hard work. But if you enjoy it, I sculpt for fun as well. So I don't do it because it's a job for me. I sculpt because I enjoy making monsters. And I always say to people, if you don't want to do it, don't do it. No one's going to give you a job because you've got a degree. You've got to then show them in between that you also sculpted. And if I say to a student, wow, did you do that in your spare time? That's great, because they're doing it without anyone telling them what to do. But it's just enjoy what you do as well. That's the most important thing.
You got to be very passionate for this industry, don't you? It's got to be their passion, not just fame.
Yeah. I mean, no one gets into it. Well, I never got into it for being famous. I ended up working on famous films, but I still make stuff. I still enjoy making monsters in my spare time. Yeah. It's all I've ever done as a kid. I was lucky that I got paid to do what I love doing as well, and the same. And with the teaching, I'm trying to pass all that on now to other students and stuff, make sure they're aware of all that.
Yeah. Which one of because I see you got quite a bit in the background there, which one's your favorites? Because I know when I spoke to Paula, she told me which one was her favorite. And so which one are your favorites from those behind you there?
I mean, they all have different things about them. I mean, I really like The Devil, because that was actually done for Britain's Got Talent. Huh? So that was quite an interesting thing to do, to try and, again, do something that was interesting for the audience to look at and stuff like that. But there's all sorts of, there's demons here. I mean, that's one of my favorites, this Devil, and that was just done for myself. So that wasn't done for a project. So sometimes you do things purely for fun for yourself that turn out better than what you do for a feature film. But I think I'm most pleased with something like the Red Skull character from Captain America. And also the actor Hugo Weaving is lovely. He was such a really nice guy to work with and stuff. So that helps as well, having an actor who loves doing what you do as well. Yeah, you
get those actors who already in themselves, they can kind of create themselves as a character, but what you do is help give that final touch, don't you? When it comes to the look, they can bring the personality, they can bring the voice, but you can really bring that look to life, can't you?
Absolutely. And I think, you have to know that the actor, you don't want the actor to look silly as well, so what you're sticking on them, you've got to make sure it looks really cool for them as well. And they're aware of having all this rubber glued onto them, so they want to be able to act still. So it's all about the performance. It's not really about your character, what you're doing. You're trying to make out that everything works together, and that's the most important thing, is making everything work in tandem with the actor and the makeups and stuff. Yeah.
And so if someone was wanting to try prosthetics for the first time, say for like a Halloween costume, do you have like a tip of something they could try just to kind of get started?
Yeah, I mean, make sure that you get some good wax, because wax, you can get loads of different types of waxes now through companies. And practice and practice. The more you practice with it, the better it's going to become. But try and find something that's unique and cool to copy from. Don't just go, oh, everyone's doing the clown from It, because or, you know, the Harley Quinn from Suicide Squad, because everyone does the same thing. So try and come up with something totally different and unique and original. But just, it's more about practicing and looking at anatomy is really important. Anatomy is so important. I mean, we have skulls, plastic skulls in the workshop for that reason to look at. So you want everyone to just look at anatomy and try and, you know, but wax is a great material to work with. Wax and good bloods.
Yeah.
Make sure the blood looks real as well.
Yeah. Do you make your own blood, or do you get the...
No, we buy it. To be honest, I find it easier to buy than kind of make your own stuff nowadays. Also, you know, the health and safety gets involved. So if you buy it, it all goes through the right, you know, health and safety stuff now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. It's been great to hear just your advice and everything within the industry. And, you know, going forward, definitely we'd love to bring you back in studio when we're able to be in studio again.
Yeah, and also, I mean, we're also now going from the school. We still got the school, but we also are doing our own website, which is Casting Life. So it's castinglife.co.uk, and there's some very bespoke things that we're putting on there, which are really interesting. And yeah, you know, it's going to be fun. We're doing wooden sculptures and art pieces and stuff like that for individuals. So it should be quite interesting.
Brilliant. We'll make sure everyone gets over there. We'll put the website on the end for you there so they can go take a look.
Great. Brilliant. Okay. Lovely. Thank you.